What screams I'm not doing so well mentally? Story 1. I can't motivate myself to do simple things around the house that I actually never mind doing when I'm feeling okay. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to answer the phone. I don't want to participate in any activities. I just want time to stand still. Story 2. My business math teacher used to come to school looking like he got dressed under his desk. One morning I will never forget. He wore two different shoes, black dressed shoe and light brown shoe, which also were the wrong sides. Also left foot right shoe, left foot, half-tucked shirt, bed hair, and like a liquid stain on the neck of his shirt. His excuse for looking like that? I got dressed in the dark this morning and I picked up the wrong shoes and accidentally grabbed a dirty shirt. As a teenager, I just thought he's a messy person. But as I got older, I believe he went through a bad divorce and he didn't take it so well. I still think about him and wonder what really happened. Story 3. Sadly enough, high-functioning depression doesn't scream. There is little to no way that gives it away. We just come home and cry in the shower, every day. Story 4. They start being really generous out of the blue, or at least completely different. Always willing to hang out, cheery, buying everyone gifts or giving away things when they otherwise wouldn't have done that or been like that before. Unless they're moving, it's probably likely they're planning on leaving this earth soon. And that's their final goodbyes. Story 5. Edit. These are personal insights and refer to changes from typical behavior. Sure, some people can be like this normally or for unrelated reasons, but that isn't the topic of the thread. So pals, use your brain a little before commenting. Rapid weight loss, gain or similar physical changes, e.g. messy appearance, poor hygiene, etc. are obvious. Less obvious, being late more often than usual, especially if in the morning, indicates excessive sleeping, constantly tired, zoning out frequently. They don't add anything to conversations. Just listen and nod to whatever's being said. Talking less than usual, difficult to make plans with, often canceling and/or first to leave in group plans, bloodshot eyes, puffy face, etc. all indicate they've been crying recently. Story 6. For me, it's when my house becomes dirty and unorganized. My dishes start to pile up. My dirty laundry is left on the floor. Trash can is doing a balancing act. Normally, I'm on top of all these things daily and weekly, but sometimes I can tell that a depressive episode is just around the corner based on the state of my home. Story 7. I knew I had slipped back, but this thread really quantified for me how far back. I need to do something about it all. But what? And how? And why? One thing I notice in me is that I stop listening to music. Like all I want to hear is silence, and nothing more. Story 8. Very few observable signs mentioned here, so I will list some. 1. Drastic weight gain or loss. If you see someone and think they're really letting themselves go, it's probably mental and not physical. 2. Drastic change in appearance. Did they shave their head? Did they stop shaving and their beard looks messy? Do they look stressed out? 3. Change in hygiene. Did they stop brushing their teeth? Do you notice lots of dandruff on someone who would normally be meticulous? 4. Higher hurdle for humor. Is it harder to make this person laugh? Does this person not joke around anymore? Generally speaking, a healthy person has their shit together. Good hygiene, well-dressed, works hard on their goals, is social with friends and family. A person can be suffering inside and that might not cross the threshold into depression, but that doesn't mean they're not suffering. And how they feel inside will express itself on the outside, and it usually comes across as suspiciously off, like something feels wrong, but you don't know what it is, and that's because people often put on a public face to conceal their problems. Story 9. I can't be out in public without having my anxiety maxed. Can't focus. Short temper. Lost 60 pounds and don't really eat anymore. Hygiene isn't affected if you don't count shaving. Story 10. Self-harm. But in weird ways people notice, but it can be excused. I'm a picker, especially at my lips. When I'm struggling mentally, I rip them to shreds, but it's easy to cover up when makeup or the excuse of chapped lips. Story 11. Glued on their phone. That's my hint that I'm trying to dissociate. I also rub behind my ears mindlessly when I do the phone thing, often causing rawness similar to scalp pickers. But it's just behind my ears only, not my entire scalp. I tell my hairdresser it's eczema so she doesn't think I'm a freak. I'm actually doing it now, which is why my account is new, yet I have decent karma. I spend like 18 hours a day commenting on Reddit posts to numb me, yet feel socialized. The odd thing is, my life is good. I'm just a wimp, or maybe undiagnosed neurodivergent. One of the two. Story 12. I cry a lot at night and pick at my fingernails to the point where all my fingertips are bleeding. Oh, and I have a bunch of broken, cracked, missing teeth, not visible ones yet, luckily. I did, however, recently, like a week ago, pick up new glasses to replace the broken old ones I'd been wearing and hating for the last year. I'm trying to work my way out of this. Story 13. I try to explain to my family that this depression is the worst one yet. I don't shower. I don't brush my teeth. I wear a nightdress for days at a time. I have no interest in keeping my house clean or washing a dish. I have OCD and I can't even clean anything to soothe myself. Story 14. I do the things I need to do. Wake up, shower, go to work, clean the house, do yard work, eat supper, shower, go to bed. Weekends, I just lay on the couch and do nothing. I cannot stand the general public. One of my favorite hobbies was fishing hunting, which is not possible anymore. People are everywhere where I used to go, and they have zero etiquette, which has ruined it for me. Story 15. Panic attacks. I had one today on the highway, was planning a little day trip by myself. I am disappointed, but will try again in a few weeks. Just bummed because I really wanted to go, but my anxiety. Story 16. A huge sign of loneliness is how thankful the person is about everything. Chronically lonely people lack love and have really bad self-esteem, so that if you say something nice to them, they actually feel cared for. But more importantly, they feel like somebody who has the ability to be cared for. Story 17. Thinking everything and everyone is out to get them, sabotage them. My BFF is going through this right now. She's almost 1K miles away and IDK how to help her. Story 18. Bad hygiene, greasy hair, and face. Not showering, not changing clothes. Also a messy homeroom car. It's so easy to stop caring and overwhelming when you decide to care. Story 19. So I am actually not doing well mentally. I keep my phone solely on do not disturb. I have completely isolated myself from everyone in my life. I sleep a lot, but that's mostly due to my illness. Just taking a shower is a lot for me. Every night when I say my prayers, I ask God to please don't let me wake up tomorrow. I have been praying for that for quite a while, but as you can see, He's ignoring me. The good thing is I am sober, so I'm not throwing a bunch of drugs, alcohol on top of this. I can't even imagine what that would look like. Probably a big mess. Story 20. Up sleep schedule. Sleep hygiene is important. A complete inability to find joy in anything, considering the hassle of basic events, going to a concert, for example, to eclipse any enjoyment of the event itself. Selling off personal items and hobby-related goods because you simply cannot be bothered. Being convinced, generally through experience, that very few people, if anyone, give a about you or even want to associate with you. Being incapable of getting over failures or mistakes. Listening to that internal voice that tells you what a up you are and how nothing is going to ultimately work out in your favor, even if this is objectively inaccurate. Story 21. Excuses. This one can be a little iffy, though. I'm not talking about the people who make excuses so they can shove the work off into someone else and go back to what they were doing. I'm talking about the people who you can tell want to do something, but keep making excuses to not. They want to go to that movie with you, but they got bad sleep and are very tired for the 20th time that month. They want to clean the kitchen, but standing long enough to do that actually is too hard for them to manage. Story 22. An unhealthy obsession with childlike things. I'll admit I enjoy having my collection of action figures in my home office on the shelf, but I dated a girl once who I genuinely think had some serious demons. Was obsessed with little girl things despite being an adult. Barbie dolls, preschool TV shows, coloring books, plushies, etc. Could not handle working a real job or school. Cut things off, and looking back, I am starting to realize what some of those warning signs are, especially after watching that episode of Morel Oral. Story 23. In my household full of neurodivergence, hand flapping is a huge tell. It's not the up and down at the wrist flap that signifies happies. It's more of a Beyoncé put a ring on it flap. Dead giveaway every time. Story 24. Finding no joy in what you used to love. Still loving your family, friends, but not wanting to spend time with them. Feeling so overwhelmed by, well, everything that even the simplest tasks seem daunting. Story 25. Lack of grooming, bathing, brushing hair, and teeth, laundry. But it's really different for everyone what their early warning signs are. Becoming reclusive, preferring to be alone, changing eating, drinking, substance use behaviors, disconnect from emotions. Why do anything attitude? Story 26. Hygiene falling apart. At my worst, I stopped brushing my teeth, showers became 1 week between, shaving was 1 a month, clothes didn't get changed, etc. Messiness was also another one. Stuff just piles up over time. I did a good job of keeping food and drinks out of my space, but everything piled up high to the point where I had a path to my bed and computer. And that was it. My closet was absolutely overflowing with unfinished projects and stuff I wanted to save that ultimately went into the garbage. Irregular eating was another one. Sometimes I'd be skipping meals. Other times I was engorging myself. Lack of interest in things was another one. I'd spend more time staring at my video games than actually playing them. I wanted to play them, but I also didn't want to play them. Story 27. This may be niche, But when it feels like weights have been sewn in under your skin and you feel like the air is peanut butter, and to move at all or speak feels literally as impossible as flying. Story 28. Not changing when I get home. I'm military and when I get home, change out of the blouse and pants but leave on the undershirt. That's when I realize I gotta do something. It isn't an issue if it was one long day, but when I realize almost everything in my laundry is military clothes and like 2 days of workout clothes for the weekends, I realize I have to force myself to do something and see people. Story 29. Voice change is a major sign that not many people notice. Basically, when someone is having a psychotic episode, their accent, tone, grammar, something like that, can frequently change out of nowhere. Not a silly voice, like a different voice. It's a sign they're not in their normal head state. Story 30. I have a classmate who I feel is not well mentally. Sometimes she gives me small hits, insults me, or yells at me in the middle of class. He doesn't care which teacher is teaching, who is listening, etc. She told him a secret hoping she would keep it private, but she always goes around shouting that secret to humiliate me in front of others. Story 31. Unfortunately, not very much. I can't tell you how many families I've known that refuse to believe one of their loved ones committed suicide. No way little Billy downed a whole bottle of pills and hung himself while holding a letter saying, "I can't take it anymore." This is clearly a murder. My boy was not depressed. Mental instability rarely ever happens in an instant, and people spend years learning to put on a facade, so no one knows. Story 32. Looking for inequities in literally everything, like how there's not enough black women in STEM, or how there aren't enough pansexual pro-golfers, and then coming to the conclusion that it's the white male cisgendered patriarchy that's keeping people down rather than people making individual choices. People who are obsessed with equality are absolute nutcases. Story 33. Embracing conspiracy theories, seeing deep meaning in random, inconsequential things, dropping out of basic social norms of dress and hygiene, long periods of no sleep to name a few. Story 34. Just not being able to keep up with the little things each day. Breakfast slips from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. to 11. Then either I have breakfast for lunch or I skip it altogether. Lunch slips to 2, then 3, then 4. Rinse and repeat until it's 9 p.m. And I've had maybe one meal all day. Doing the dishes is an achievement. Doing the laundry is an achievement. I couldn't possibly do both in one day. I don't have the energy to shower one night, then 2, then 3. I feel exhausted, but the later it gets at night, the less I want to sleep. And when I try to sleep, I can't. It feels like if you can stay up late enough, you can stop tomorrow from coming. Or like nighttime is the only time you really have to yourself, or without having to deal with the rest of the world. Story 35. Creating multiple accounts on Reddit. Getting a high off of being upvoted on any social media account. Getting a feeling of importance from irrelevant individuals. Story 36. Slightest mess up in my daily routine triggers anxiety in me. It's horrific to the point my hands start shaking and I start throwing tantrums. I'm scared of myself sometimes. I've been consistent with waking up at 4 a.m. since the start of this year. But these past few days, I've not been able to maintain the consistency. I've been waking up at 67 or even 8 a.m. Some might think that it's still early, but note that for me it's not, because I'm preparing for an important exam. So I end up feeling like, and curse myself for being lazy. It's insane. Story 37. Extreme negativity. People who complain about every little thing and make nasty comments about others constantly. It is completely unacceptable and exhausting. Like, babe, your brain is not okay. Story 38. Posting on social media incessantly either cryptic memes about being a lone wolf loyalty or something similar, or posting a bunch of healing journey content. While the second one might seem counterintuitive, in my experience they're posting things from a place of wanting it as opposed to living it. Story 39. Withdrawal from hobbies or social activities that once were enjoyable and part of daily life. Spending a lot of time isolated, not contacting people and doing questionable things alone. Story 40. Crisis hair on someone older than 28. Green, red, blue, or orange dye, or all of the above. Wearing pajamas out in public without an ounce of shame or regret. Face tattoos. Cheek piercings. It projects some ancient trauma on full display in the first place the eyes go to. Greasy doorknobs, too. Story 41. I love art, but I haven't made any in like a year. Haven't really listened to music in quite a while either. Also, I have to shave my head soon. BC, my hair is dreading unintentionally LOL. Story 42. Sleeping more, not exercising. Having the rationale that I'd rather something bad would happen to me, so I could get a break from work if I was in the hospital. Story 43. What screams? Am not doing so well mentally? How about when I say it and nobody helps? I am not doing well mentally. I am poor. My college degree is not getting me the jobs I want. My experience outside of college is not getting me the jobs I want. My girlfriend is 9,000 miles away from me. My family is broken. I don't need any more reassurances. I need a lifeline. Story 44. Lifeless eyes, dull voice. They don't show interest on anything. They don't know and don't care about current topics. And they aren't interested on interacting with anyone. They have a never-ending supply of it is what it is, I guess. Give them a nostalgia ticket by talking about something from their past, and you can feel their eyes and voice coming back to life. They are more than happy to talk about that something and anything they can relate to that. People they knew, places they used to go, things they used to do, TV shows they used to watch, music they used to listen, food they used to eat. They'll happily talk about all that and how these things were so great. Then they finish it with a good times, and their eyes dull out. The smile slowly vanishes. The sadness come back and they're back to their silent poker face. Story 45. The more I read the comments, the more I relate. But I don't think it's a mental health issue, but a society issue. Everything is progressively getting worse. I'm earning more money than I ever have, and I'm in a worse financial position with no savings because everything is so expensive. It's so depressing working full-time and feeling guilty buying a coffee from Costa, let alone the foreign thought of a holiday. It's just relentless, and it's no wonder everyone is depressed. Maybe the issue isn't us, and we are just trying to cope the best we can. Being told to talk about the issues is frustrating as it won't change what is fundamentally wrong, just how I can cope with it, which is like putting a plaster on a gaping wound and hoping for the best. I'm exhausted.